Sammy's mixing dirt for the first time. Mom just made a bunch of planters. Well, 4. This is a different one than I'm used to her planting. This is what she usually does right here, but I like this one. The onions are really starting to come up now. And so it's time to get them out. The reds could maybe stay in here for another day or 2, but these whites, they're ready. And that's good because now I need to start seeding more onions. Right now I'm working on candy, and these are really nice because they're pelleted. Very easy to see, really easy to work with. And I can do it about at least 3 to 4 times faster than I can with just a regular seed like the yellow sweet Spanish. So right now, Sammy is filling my flats and putting the tags on. Mom spilled about a whole flat of them. And so she's fixing that. And then I am seeding them. So then once I get done seeding these, Sammy will start covering them. And I'm gonna start then seeding more sweet Spanish in here. Oops. I did 15 flats yesterday, and I just ran out of room, but then we took more stuff out so I could make room for more onions today. And I also took out some of the early white onions that we had seeded. So these reds are just now coming up like I showed you, but they're not quite up enough to pull them out yet. So I'm gonna fill all these empty spots, whatever I have today, with either onions or some of the stuff that didn't come up quite as good, like the adratum and maybe like the oregano, I think. But the only reason they probably didn't come up as good, which I gotta check, is the seed was from either 2 years ago or maybe even 3 years ago, and we just didn't really pay attention to that when we were ordering seeds. We should have ordered new and threw that old seed away, but mistakes happen. I know, Bean.
They were seeping.
Yeah, kind of like shake it with. Yeah, shake it with my right hand. You just want to make sure you don't pop it over the top.
Yeah.
I shake it with my right hand and hit it with my left hand, or vice versa, whatever works for you. It doesn't want to come out too easy because the holes are pretty small.
It does not.
Mom's still working on that over there.
I'm almost done.
That's good, right? That looks good.
Yeah, and then just feather it out with your hand. I had to stand back quite a ways, kind of like this, to put the first coat of water on, or you'll blow that vermiculite right off the top. Now that it's kind of set in, I just want to make sure I go over every single flat evenly. I don't want to put too much water on at one time, or it'll kind of just flush it out and the seed will rise to the top. I want to go over it lightly, and then I'll go down one side and I'll go back up the other, and keep putting like layer and layer after water until it slowly sinks all the way to the bottom of each cell. And then I'll check them for weight as soon as I'm done. If they feel correct, then I'll move on to the next one. So here we are now the next day. It's pretty bright and sunny. And so our seedlings are starting to dry out. And I think it's been at least 3-4 waterings now, maybe 5 since we fertilized them. And it's time to fertilize them now again. So I just got the fertilizer turned on. I have the suction line in the right fertilizer, which is the 13.2. You can hear it clicking, which means it's operating. And I have the water running outside to get it running through the line. I'll take and I'll run it into this little measuring container here. That way I can see that the water is blue and that the fertilizer is all the way through the line, and now I can start watering. I have already fertilized all of these once. These on this side I haven't fertilized at all. And a lot of these are just about ready to transplant, but they still need about a week yet, and the fertilizer will help them come on just a little bit more. Some things like the impatiens here, they pull all the way out. Now, that's about exactly what we want when we're gonna transplant. And you can see that's pretty dry. And it's not gonna hurt, definitely, at all. Get these fertilized just a little bit and give them a little bit of a jump start. That way, when they do get transplanted, they'll take off running. I try and do a nice, even water around the whole thing. These geraniums now are getting pretty big. We got these in as plugs, got them planted in 4.5-inch pots. And now they're starting to crowd each other out a little bit. And it's only gonna keep getting worse as time goes on. So what I'm working on now is separating them and putting waters in them. You can see there's 3 in a row, actually 5 in a row, but on each side of the water line, there's 3 and then there's 2 on the back side. If we try and get a third one, what happens is it grows up and hits the plastic. And then when the plastic gets hot, it burns the leaves and turns them yellow. So we only put 2 there, 3 on this side, and basically I'm working all the way down this edge. These waters have a little lead end on them, and if I can hold the camera here, when you push it in, like that, it shuts it off. When you pull it out, turns it on. So at the end of the season, we go through and open every single one up, and for the most part they're already open because we've been using them. That way when it freezes, the water that's sitting in them doesn't obviously freeze and bust and crack all of our lines. I don't know if it would be as bad as what we think it would be. We've never had it happen, but we always do it just to make sure nothing bad happens. These are really nice. I have seen some farmers, they'll actually take a whole table, make like a 6-8-inch side on them, put plastic in there, and then they kind of flood the table, and then the water gets sucked up through the bottom of the pot in those holes right there. And I'd like to try that, but we haven't had the time really to do it. So this is the way we've been doing it, and we'll probably keep doing it. And as you can see, all of these tables have these water lines on them. And so it's just nice and convenient that it's already there. Another thing is we stagger the pots. We'll put 3 starting at the water line here. We'll start 3, leave a gap, and then the next one, instead of starting right here, I'll actually start like back here. That way I can have the most space in between each one as possible. And another important thing is I want to make sure I don't have these lines over top any of these leaves, because when they start to grow, what'll happen is they'll push that water right out of that pot, which is obviously what we don't want. So I try and make sure everything is laying as flat as possible. That way there's no issues. Once you get on a roll, it goes pretty fast. All of those there that I've been working on are called zonal geraniums. And then we grow our own geraniums, but they're called seed geraniums, which are down here. They just got big enough now to where we could transplant them into the 6-packs. And then once they get the roots established and probably get about 2, 3, 4 inches tall, then they'll go into the 4.5-inch pot. And then just like those, will go on waters. Here's the Senna geraniums. Over here, this is the first time we ever bought Gerber daisies and plugs, so we did not grow them this year. Mom's watering in one of the grasses, whether it's fireworks or new red fire. And then over here, we have some sweet potato vine that just got transplanted. I think this is a new one, a new kind of coleus, wedding train. More of the Senna geraniums, sweet potato vine. Down here is the sunflowers. I can't believe how much I took off already. They're gonna soon go on waters over in the number 2 greenhouse. Here's the verbena. Lantana. I think, I'm not 100% certain, but butterflies and hummingbirds love that. Fuchsias, rosemary. Here's vinca vine. Mom was really excited about these. This is a new petunia for this year. Crazy Tunia, Cosmic Pink. And she was just saying to me, it doesn't really look like a tag. It's a lot darker, but it's still a pretty flower. Chives. I was nervous because the seed was kind of old, but they're doing really well. I planted like 50 to 100 in each one, and it looks like 100's coming up. So germination must not have been a problem. Now you can see back here on the begonias how they're really starting to get green. Now I just went through the other day and oxidated them. That takes care of that greenish on top or any kind of diseases. And so I'm probably gonna have to go back there and do that again. The problem is that these have been sitting in here since, if I can find a tag, 2/8. Today is the 27th. So almost 20 days they've been sitting in here, and you can just see how small they really are. They're growing slow but sure. And so what happens is, since they lay so wet, they take a lot of water to germinate, that with all that moisture and laying wet like that, it just turns them green. Last year the problem we had with begonias was, I think we let them get a little bit too dry. Like sometimes it's good to let stuff get a little dry, not to where it wilts, but just, you know, air out a little bit. And so we thought we were doing that with the begonias, and then we noticed they all started to die, and we lost like 3/4 of them. So this year we're trying to keep them more wet, but with keeping them more wet, starts that greenage on top of them. So there's nothing we can really do about that. The only thing that's making us nervous a little bit is the red onions. The pack was brand new. Germination I think was like 85 to 90% on them. We're supposed to be. And so far we're not seeing that. We did exactly what we've been doing all the other years. And all the other years we had a very good stand. So we're hoping they're just taking a little bit longer to germinate, but I guess we're gonna wait and see. If they don't do well, I'm gonna have to plant more. And the problem with that is now it's getting late and we don't have that much extra seed. So then over here in number 2, the family got all this transplanted today. This is some petunias, lupines. Here's mints, dahlias, rosemary, second planting. And then over here, from another greenhouse grower, we just picked up some spikes that we couldn't get ourselves just because there's a shortage of them. And they're really nice. Probably start planting them tomorrow. Starting to get pretty nasty out now. It's starting to flurry. The weather people don't really know what's going on. They said we can get 1 inch to 3 inches tonight, and then the next day or 2 or 3, I don't know, something like that, we can get another 5 to 10 inches. The only thing is, it's not gonna stick around long. The ground temperature is way too warm. So it's basically just gonna be a whole muddy mess if we do get what they're saying. So that's what I'm calling it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember, it ain't much, but it's honest work.